Well, happy Monday to you, and happy third episode. It's really exciting.
Yes.
It's
Super.
also our final episode of 2023, so it's kind of like maybe we should have been wearing Santa hats or something, or holiday
Oh,
edition.
next time,
Well,
next year.
yeah, right. Yeah, so many improvements for our podcast in the new year. I'm excited.
Yes. Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about our special guest? I'm excited to meet him and learn more and
Yeah.
really just get into the conversation. So kick us off.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm super excited to have our special guest here from Western Electrical Contractors Association. It's a recent partnership that we signed up with that I'm really excited about, and I've had the pleasure of building this relationship with our special guest, and looking forward to the future, of course. Um, really excited for the subjects we're going to be talking about today. So without further ado, Heath, can you join the podcast? Welcome.
Good
Welcome.
afternoon.
Thanks for joining this morning.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And for the record, I've already had 3 coffees and now I'm on the tea.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I need to catch up.
It's a good mix, isn't it? Coffee and green tea. Green tea. There's something about it.
Yes.
Caffeine just is a happy place.
It is. It's so good. Especially, I feel like December, it's one of the busiest months, but both professionally and personally, like I'm running on coffee all month. So
I constantly have to figure out where I'm supposed to be at any moment of the day this month. And that, you're right, it's personal and professional literally blended. And everyone in my entire life is on my Outlook calendar. Otherwise, it doesn't happen.
Right.
I saw a cartoon the other day, and it was like the year, okay? And the first half of it was blank, and then it was October, November, December, and it was just all this stuff just piled in to those last 3 months of the year. So yeah, it keeps us on our toes for sure.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Well, kind of to jump in here, Heath, I'm really excited for the conversation today. I was hoping you might be able to introduce yourself and WECA and what you guys are all about for our listeners.
Sure. So WECA, Western Electrical Contractors Association, we are based in Sacramento, California. We have been in business for over 94 years. We currently serve between California, Arizona, and Utah 397 employer member contractors. And that is in the area of commercial electric, residential electric, and then low voltage. Here in Arizona, we have just begun with our commercial program, and we'll eventually add the rest of them here. The Arizona unit came into being here a little over 3 years ago, and that was because of requests of contractors that are currently our members were looking for a better quality product in order to ensure the development of their journeyman electricians. When they were shopping for programs, they had found ours in California, and some of the things that were vastly unique were the things that were tremendously important to them, such as the fact that we have a full-time education staff that do not work in the field. So while they all have more than 10 years of journeyman experience each, they are not in the field and then jump over to the classroom. That gives us the ability to teach during the day, and instead of in the evenings after tradespeople have been in the field all day long and are exhausted. So besides being able to give them a good, clear educational platform where they can focus on their learning, it also gives them a tremendous respect for balance of life, meaning we're not cutting into their evening family time. And so our member contractors take all of those things into consideration when putting their apprentices through our program as what ultimately is a great financial benefit to their people, because not only are they paying to train their folks through our program, they're paying them while they're here in our program, and they're also being very specifically considered about how to make sure they maximize their learning from a safety standpoint and a knowledge building standpoint, but also respect their lives.
Yeah.
How I came to this world was in my early years, spent about 20 some years in consumer packaged goods. And then at every step, I found myself having to look for ways to develop my own staff. And frankly, years ago, it was not a huge priority for employers to have complete staff development programs to be actually part of their retention process.
Right.
And then, as so many have, I enjoyed the fundamentals of being laid off from a couple of positions over the years through no fault of my own, just the pure economy. And I found myself by luck at Maricopa County Workforce Development, where I worked 10 years to help encourage businesses to get involved with the clientele of the Arizona at Work system. And that let me work with both employers and job seekers to try to really understand what was necessary and help people to either reemploy or better employ.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout all that process, the one thing that consistently came in front of me was the fact that things like the trades and manufacturing and other skilled occupations where a job seeker invests in those particular skills, no matter what happens to the economy, they have an opportunity to find work somewhere, even if they had to move out of the state, but that work would always be somewhere.
Mm.
And as I found myself at the end of a 10-year period in government, I decided it was a good time to take a little break from government, but I still have a deep and abiding passion for workforce development and had a great relationship with the previous director of the Arizona Apprenticeship Office, who kind of gave me his own positive opinions on this particular program. And that's what led me to come here, and it allows me to still help people positively advance in their career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. That's an incredible story.
Yeah.
And, both sort of, you pointed to a lot of things around the history, right? The longstanding history of WECA has been around forever. Even during the evolution of businesses, even caring about whether or not they're developing the people that are working for them, right? Investing in the people, growing and learning and being able to adapt and do the job really well and take that with them wherever they go. So really exciting stuff. And certainly workforce development is, you see efforts in this area in many different industries. In the construction, it's so important. So it sounds like you guys have a great recipe for that, and that is working. We did have a question though. So as you're thinking about, where you go from where we are today to where maybe we're headed, and with all of these technological advances and how things are changing in the industry itself, how do you stay ahead of the curve, supporting those electrical contractors in adapting to these changes? So bringing with you all that great stuff that works, but then also being able to stay in front of everything that's changing.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I'm blessed with having a really amazing team in our offices. Not only is it our team, but we draw a lot of what we need to do and know from our contractor members. So our program is based on a training trust, and that training trust has a board, and that board and that committee draw its membership from our member contractors. And so our team is constantly updating and integrating what is important to our member contractors. And that takes into consideration a little bit of everything. That's the changes in code. That's the changes in styles of building. That's the changes in materials and appliances. But then also, to your point, technology becomes ever more present into the field of construction. And frankly, it is a good thing, because it is also one of those aspects that will hopefully encourage more young people to look at the building trades as a good quality, viable option. So we have just recently launched our own application through VR or virtual reality for being able to train electricians in BESS, so battery electric storage systems. And that's important because there are some critical beginning lessons that go along with working in that space that this virtual reality allows those apprentices to learn more safely at a distance before they start working in connectivity to what ultimately has a lot of different types of chemicals and things that go along with battery storage on top of just the wiring itself. At the end of the day, you know, we're trying to make sure that we always make our apprentices competitive, competent, cost-effective, but above all, safe.
That's awesome.
Yeah, incredible.
Safety is a topic very near and dear to my heart. So
I know.
Safety. Yeah, that's exciting though to hear about VR being used in that application. You know, definitely.
We had started using it in CPR training, and because that real life feel that it was able to give, it has certainly led us to look for other ways to use that technology. And this was just the second, and I know there'll be a third, a fourth, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, sure. That's the other thing about technology is a lot of people may be hesitant or reticent even to adopt something, you know, like I don't need to do that. We've always done it this way. That's just hype or whatever, you know. And once you see it in action, right, that's really where, when you see the rubber hitting the road, so to speak, right, and you're like, oh, got it. Okay. All right. We can do this. This is important. This helps. This is making a difference. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Well, Heath, you know, there's another topic that we do talk about on our podcast, which I think you have a really great perspective and interested in learning more about that, which is, you know, supporting workplace diversity and having more women or encouraging more women to join the electrical trade. And I was wanting to get your perspective and just share that with our listeners, along with, you know, anything that WECA is doing to help that effort.
Absolutely. And that is a very near and dear topic for us. And I'm happy to say that for many of the associations I belong to, that it is also a growing theme within all of them for each of the other trades. The fact of the matter is, as a population, we're almost 52% female. And yet in the trades, we're only about 9 to 10% female, depending
Right.
upon the trade. You know, at the end of the day, every occupation benefits from having a full and diverse workforce, different perspectives, context, and everything else, so that whatever it is that you're doing, you're taking into context not only just what it takes to put it together, but you also get more perspective on the end user. And so by having everyone in that mix, that's when you get the best results. Specifically focusing on women, where we obviously have the greatest shortage in electrical, we work very hard to take advantage of the opportunities throughout the year, such as Women in Construction Week, where there are opportunities to really highlight those opportunities. But regardless of just waiting on that special week or that special event, our marketing team puts a great emphasis in making sure that we have collateral, specifically speaking, to potential female electricians. And a lot of that is driven by the exploits and the experiences of our own WECA apprentices that have gone through the program and moved into their occupation and advanced within it because of what they drew from it. At the end of the day, there's no better example to put in front of a potential woman as far as the experiences of another.
Mm.
And then on top of that, we try very hard to look for organizations that we can partner with in order to help drive that message. In this last calendar year, we are very proud of the fact that we've been able to have some great interaction with the Fresh Start Foundation for Women of Arizona and Arrowette. And both of these organizations put a very heavy emphasis on helping women become not just prepared for occupations and general, but both of them have also placed a big emphasis on looking for opportunities that had non-traditionally been work roles for women. The Fresh Start Foundation for Women successfully was awarded a grant out of the Department of Labor called Want To, and that is Women Apprenticeship and Non-Traditional Occupations. And so they're specifically working with tools that help their clientele look for effective ways to look at the trades as occupations, so that they are better prepared on what our world looks like so that they can make it theirs.
It's a great acronym.
It is. You know, we also spend as much time as we possibly can looking for other grant and other supportive opportunities, because the fact is there are sometimes just different barriers for different folks. We were also very excited to see that from the Center for the Future of Arizona and the Valley of the Sun United Way, they have an economic opportunity grant specifically focusing on young women of color for the ages of 18 to 24, because at the end of the day, we're looking for some opportunities to really reach some of the most underserved and get them the opportunities. Because the fact is, a good qualified tradesperson makes a great living. And again, when they have that skill and they have that confidence, they become an absolute integral asset of the companies they work for. And that is a tremendously stabilizing effect from a workforce standpoint.
Yeah, I think those are some of the details around the construction industry specifically that people don't get. So, you know, it's not widely realized or known, you know, the kind of stability and opportunity that can be had within the construction industry. So finding different and unique ways of spreading that word and making those connections like you're doing, I think probably is going to have a great impact on that. And the other thing, you know, you were talking before, we were talking about workforce development and the evolution of how now businesses do care that they're investing in their people, right? They see that as, okay, they are an asset. So if I invest in them, it's going to make my business better. Also now investing in diversity, equity, and inclusion in businesses as well. And everybody's still trying to figure out how to do that, right? Like a lot of people have programs and they say they do it and they do workshops and things like that. But really, what does it mean? Is it really changing the fabric of your business and bringing more women and more people of color, more people of diverse backgrounds actually into your business and into the industry? So the work you're doing is so important to that. And
I'm excited that a lot of trade associations are doing a lot more to help their membership find these pathways as well. Because again, to your point, not everybody in every employer is an expert at everything, and you don't know what you don't know. And you have to be able to develop that skill yourself on how do I have a more diverse workforce. I was very excited at an event that we attended here this past October from the Arizona Minority Contractors Association. They did a full half-day employment inclusion summit for the trades, and they did a fantastic job. The audience was riveted with just an amazing amount of information, ranging from things that you need to know from the Department of Labor all the way down to just purely staffing. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's kind of like the trade. Repetition is the key. And so the more places we put the right messages in front of employers and job seekers alike, the more we can actually close those gaps.
Yeah, 100%.
Makes sense. And as far as just you had touched on this, but I think it's worth noting, you start earning when you enroll with this apprenticeship program. So it's I think it's very enticing for people looking to get into the trades, the electrical trade. I don't know if there's any more information you want to share about that.
That's probably one of the most important messages. And again, it doesn't matter whether we're talking about men or women. The fact of the matter is, education and skill attainment can be very expensive. But when you do it in a manner in which that you partner with your own employer, that's best. So a couple of just pure realities about the United States. There are more jobs open than there are people who are willing or able to fill them. So as an employer moving from 2024 on, you kind of have two choices. You either buy talent or you grow talent. And if there isn't enough to buy, you're left with only one choice, and that's to grow it. I went to college, and I'm not going to beat up on college, but the fact of the matter is they really took over the world, and they had a lot of generations of parents saying you're only going to make anything of yourself if you go to college. And I'm not going to tell you how much that cost me, but I will tell you that I paid it off entirely. But that being said, it took a long time to do so. And so of our apprentices in our program and programs like ours, they are blending their education here in a classroom along with out in the field under the supervision of an expert. And that combined together equals their training. And that is done so at the cost of the employer. And in many cases, most employers are also paying for all of their time while they're learning, even when they're in the classroom. Now, that's not true of every apprenticeship and every employer, but it's becoming more and more true of the bulk of them because, again, it's an employment benefit. And there is nowhere in this world to hide from an information standpoint. And people look at employers as, what are you investing in me so that I know what to invest in you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful. Well, hopefully that continues, that trend grows. People get it, right? It snaps and they're all, okay, we got it. Now the time that they're in that classroom is benefiting my business, my outcomes, my bottom line. So let me invest in my employees while they're there. So.
Absolutely. In the trades especially, and apprenticeships aren't just for the trades, but that's what we care about here in this particular space. And I'm not going to lie, we care more about the Sparkies than anything else. But, at the end of the day, it really comes down to when you are being paid and compensated and you are learning, you become an integral part of your employer. You make them more competitive. You make them more cost effective. And again, you make them safer.
Love that. Yeah. I know something that you and I had talked about previously was the AZBuildIt program and how that's impacting the building industry too. And I really like what you had to say about that and was wondering if you might be able to share that with our listeners as well.
Absolutely. The fact is we are blessed with being in one of the fastest growing economies in the country. Depending upon who you talk to, we're third, fourth on how much building is done in the state of Arizona compared to other places. And the fact is there are things that are waiting to be built that won't be done until there's enough people to do so. And so we have in the coming years an easy 30% of experienced tradespeople who are going to be old enough and financially comfortable enough to retire. And that's going to create a massive vacuum of talent against the need of what needs to be built. So our state has looked long and hard at what can we do to try to help mitigate this and get on the right side of how to move forward and be innovative. And so the Build It AZ program is a recent initiative done so by our governor to put in the hands of different trades folks, workforce folks, and economic participants in order to help draft essentially a plan for over the next couple of years to hopefully double the number of apprentices in Arizona programs. So currently we're sitting just under 4,200 apprentices statewide in different building trades programs. And the governor would like to see us double that to about 8,400 by the end of 2026. And that is a massive undertaking, and it requires a very thoughtful and very involved proposition by everyone that is a stakeholder. So, you know, the focus has been broken down into, and I made myself some notes here. So marketing and outreach, policy and governance, employer interaction, career pathways, and then grant funding opportunities. Mm-hmm. And it really is going to take blending all of these things, as well as help from legislators down to education officials, to employers, even down to parents, of just being able to say, this is a good pathway for Johnny or Susie, so that they can have a good quality living, and we can build this state the way that we hope to build it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That is a tall order, but you know, everything I've heard so far, and I'm sure Sam feels this way. You guys, you have this. You got it. You're gonna make it happen. But you're also, yeah. But you're also looking so in everything you said all along this whole conversation. You just look so comprehensively at who else is around you that you can partner with, that you can work with, that you can communicate with. So that's really, you know, inspiring, I would say.
You know, even organizations like yourselves, we're grateful to have you as an industry partner, because my responsibility is to support my member contractors and being successful. And that means, what do we have to do to make them successful? And that's putting every asset in front of them that we're able to do. And that even means also supporting all of the other trades, because when it comes to supporting electricians, that means the best thing for us to do is to support the people who pour the floors, put up the walls and the roofs, because if you don't have a floor, a wall, and a lid, you don't need to pull wire.
Right.
Good point.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I guess finally, we just wanted to know what inspires you. I mean, I think we know a little bit of what inspires you and how you got where you are today, but what keeps you really excited about the future, keeps you going every day?
Well, as I said, I kind of came from a place in my work life where I found myself always having to find ways to develop my people before those tools were even in place. So as those tools have advanced and I've been allowed to be hopefully at least some small part of that, it has given me a tremendous amount of satisfaction, because if you spend any time around me at all, whether it's at work or it's out after 5 somewhere for a cocktail, I don't know how to not have a workforce conversation. And then you add the fact that the universe did not choose to make me a father, but yet I had an amazing father, and I always learned that the best thing in this world you can do is pass on what you've learned. So the way I've always looked at workforce is technically everybody gets to be my kid.
Yeah. Oh,
that
is so wonderful. Well, we need more people like Heath in the world, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm tremendously flattered that you say so.
Now you know why I wanted to have him on the podcast.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Just an incredible conversation. I'm so glad we met, Heath.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate it deeply. You know, if I've learned anything in workforce, and that is that there are a tremendously large number of well-meaning people who are trying to do the right thing. And even when that's true, there still sometimes is a little bit of dilution, because There are so many that are trying to achieve one piece here, one piece there, so that, you know, we're going to be the most successful when we have more groups working with each other, so that you have one can of alphabet soup instead of a whole bunch of different ABCs.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Oh, I like that analogy. Yeah,
Me
for
too.
sure. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we connected and can't thank you enough for being part of our podcast.
Yes, we're super excited for the future with as an industry partner with you guys, WECA. So hopefully this is the first of many podcast episodes we could have you on.
Well, I appreciate it. Again, your attention and your flattery is deeply appreciated, and anything that, you know, lets us bring this to more folks' attention so that we can help more people, the better.
Thanks, Heath.
Thanks, Heath. And until next time.
Until
right.
next time. All right. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks.